And thanks for joining us today. My name is Michael. This is a LigoLab webinar, Explore Modern Anatomic Pathology LIS Solutions, with our expert, Allison Still. Thank you for joining us. We hope during the course of this presentation to show you some of the AP workflow that exists within the LigoLab informatics platform. And we certainly also welcome your questions after Allison's presentation. But first, let's get to know a little bit more about my two colleagues, Allison and Olga. Allison, please feel free to fill us in a little bit about you and your role with the company.
Allison Still. I've been with the company for a few years now, but before that, I actually worked for a laboratory that used the LigoLab LIS. So it's nice to have that kind of background knowledge. Currently, I am the LIS product manager here at LigoLab, where I help determine what features the development team should work on next, among other things like doing presentations like this.
I'm certainly glad that you are able to do so. Olga, hello to you. Please, a quick little introduction about yourself too.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, my name is Olga. I'm the head of sales and marketing at LigoLab. I've been with the company for a little more than 2 years now. Primarily working with the clients on helping them find the right solution, and I'll touch on some of that stuff today as well. So whenever you need help finding a new LIS, you probably will meet me along the way.
Perfect. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. Quick little preview of what we are going to show you before we go back to Olga to kind of set the stage for what's to come. End-to-end AP workflow, block and slide tracking, automated histology protocols. Allison's going to show us quite a bit of the software. Of course, we like to say we have the most comprehensive and flexible laboratory informatics platform out there. Again, what you see hopefully will be informative. And of course, if there is something you don't see and you're curious about workflow, about the system in general, please take advantage of that chat option at the bottom of your screen and toss us a question. We'll have a live Q&A session after Allison's presentation. So with that, I will stop sharing my screen. I'll toss it on over to Olga and we'll get things underway.
Thank you, Michael. Let me know if you can see my screen. Okay. Okay, I think that everybody who's here today is looking for a solution that can become the future-proof solution for the lab, and we'll dive a little deeper into that. LigoLab has been built more than 18 years ago, and in this long run of its work, we haven't lost even a single client. All the labs that start with us, they continue working with us, and they love our system. The system has been built by the guys who actually worked in the lab, so they know all the ins and outs of the issues and all the staffing shortages and dwelling reimbursements and shifting regulations are very familiar for them. That's why they kind of took that knowledge and implemented everything in the system so you can avoid thinking about these problems. And when it comes to change, like I really love this slide, like when we talk about change, like everybody wants change, right? But who really wants to change, that's a big question. And when it comes to picking the LIS system, the decision is very difficult, very complex, very time-taking, and you need to set up a really huge LIS decision committee, usually when you're a big lab and organization, and there are so many people involved in the process. So sometimes this change looks really, really scary. We are here for you to help you understand and navigate the process, because we know that this whole change takes sometimes even years. So to help you make the right decision and to help you not be afraid of those changes, LigoLab team is here, and just want to make sure that you understand that we're not here just to show you the solution, but we're also here to help you navigate how we can help your business, how we can improve your business, and how we can really get it in the best possible way for you, and get you ready for this change. Moving forward, just wanted to touch a little more about the gaps and problems that regular labs face nowadays, all the manual workflows and processes, and still a lot of processes on their Excel sheets and paperwork inside the lab. That's something we see every day when we visit the labs, even of bigger size and scale. Still lots of gaps that exist there. And I think that some of you being here today also have these problems. And another thing we see is a lot of labs, they outgrow the solutions they have. And like when they become bigger, they need a better solution. And the limited capabilities of other legacy systems, they just don't manage what you need in the modern world. We also see a lot of labs suffering from being nickel and dimed on some minor changes, some little tweaks they need to make in the system, which is not the case of LigoLab. And that's really painful when you go through this on an everyday basis. We know that. We hear that a lot from our clients. And that's something we try to avoid as well. Moving forward to avoid all of these issues, like labs start looking for the solutions that can help them. And that's when this huge monster appears in the lab, right? So like when you try to pick the solution that best fits your needs, you start looking at different types of system that can cover the gaps. And then you might end up having 5 or even 7 or even 10 sometimes systems in one place that don't even talk to each other, or they have issues communicating. That's how you have this monster. And our goal is to help you avoid this. Our goal is to just kill this monster and get you a very, very clear solution, basically. So here you can see the processes that you might end up having covered by different vendors, by different solutions. Instead of having all of that covered by different solutions, we offer a solution that basically covers all of these processes, right? So LigoLab is an all-in-one solution that offers you one source of truth, and any process that you might think about in the lab, I bet like 98% we cover that. And even if you need some custom things sometimes, definitely this is not a set in stone solution. We are welcoming all the discussions and the needs of the lab. In case you need some customizations, we are open to doing that for you. And one thing to remember about is that as we service more than 300 labs in US, every change we do for any type of lab, you get it as well, right? So you benefit from us developing things for other labs. That's something to remember. And keep in mind that we're a private company. We're doing this only for 18 years, and we're doing this only for the labs. We're not managed by any corporation that's having its own rules and probably will be shutting down the business in several years. No, we're here for a long run, for a long game, and all of our clients have been with us, as I said, for many, many years, and this is something we're really committed to. So we will help you get rid of this monster by providing you the solution that really has a very clear structure. And even though it's really complex and in-depth, and sometimes demonstrations might take not even hours but days, especially for the bigger labs, it's still very straightforward and clear when you understand how it functions. You really can set it up the way that best fits for your lab and for your needs and for your team. So we do have a very profound anatomic pathology module. And as I said, our Company has been founded for mid-size and large-size anatomic pathology labs. Clinical lab appeared a little later, but by now it's also a very profound clinical lab module that covers different types of testing. And let's say your lab works on AP and then it wants to add more testing, you can always have that covered by LigoLab. You don't have to introduce another system. So that's also a great benefit. We see some of our clients doing that and growing their business through introducing new types of testing. We have a lot of support engines and any types of integrations you might need inside the lab, and with all your clients, we can also provide that. The seamless integration and implementation of the system is a huge, big part of the game. And we also know that takes a lot of time and effort, but that's where we really, really shine. All the supporting modules that include things like send-out tracking and specimen handling and document scanning and many, many other things are also there. So you can always pick up the things that you really need for your current setup. And one more thing to mention is that we also provide the revenue cycle management system, the RCM, which is an integral part of the platform. This is one of the benefits that not many companies do have, and I don't even think any of them actually has. Most likely it's two separate solutions that you have to combine in the lab. We provide the RCM too, so that you can build a really solid solution that becomes your single source of truth. And again, having experience with many companies implementing both systems together, we see how their revenue grows and how they are able to scale their business by doing that. We're not touching on RCM today, but I just wanted you to know that it's there. And if you have any questions, you can always come to us to learn more about that. With that said, I would probably go here just to get you an idea of which type of labs we're fit for, right? So we do have the solution for any type of lab, any size of lab, as we have the tiers inside of our platform. It's essential, professional, advanced, and enterprise tiers. And you can think of our system as a puzzle. You can build your own product, basically combining different modules. And to better understand that, you definitely need a demonstration of all the modules and understanding of all of that. Today, we will have a look at some of them. And if you feel like you want to learn more about some of them, come back to us, have the demos for your company, and we'll keep talking from here and discussing what type of system will be the best fit for your particular lab. With that said, I'll give it to Allison to continue showing us the basic flow of the AP module and the things that Michael mentioned before. If you have any questions, by the way, yeah, definitely post them in the chat and I'll answer if I can. Hopefully I can.
Hello. Okay, I'm sharing my screen now. Hopefully everyone can see it. Yeah, today we're going to be doing a basic AP flow. Let's start with order entry, as if the lab received a paper requisition. We do, of course, accept electronic orders, but for today I'll be doing a non-electronic order example. So we'll go to new order and start entering our details. First, we can enter the client and the specific ordering provider at that office. Tabbing through the fields, we can adjust our collected date and time, our received date and time, and then go on to enter the patient demographics. Here, once the user enters the first row of the patient demographics, it's being like MRN, first and last, date of birth, and social, the system will do a check to see if this potentially matches an existing patient in the system. If there is a potential match, the user will get this patient profile resolution window, where we can say, yes, this is the same patient, or go back to continue creating a new one. We can go ahead, let's say this is the same patient, and it's going to apply that patient's profile to the order, which we see here updated our demographics as well as our billing. Going on to the next tab, at the top we can enter any incoming ICDs. And then in the middle, we will enter our tests. For an AP case, that's usually going to be a surgical type result. In the supplemental data section that appears under the tests, the lab can configure any acid order entry questions or additional data they want to capture on a per case basis about this encounter. Let's maybe type history of melanoma. And then we're going to go to our specimens. Here, the beginning of a specimen tree was added for us. In this example, we want to apply a specimen or site-based histology protocol here at accessioning. So let's type the free text description of the site as received from the clinic here, like skin biopsy. We're going to edit the site. We're going to pick the more specific site area and operation from what is configured in the site manager or site library for this environment. This would, of course, be customized to each individual laboratory. Here, we can see the system is reading what was typed before and highlighting things it thinks potentially match that. If we scroll down, we can see there's actually much more configured in this environment. It's just bringing the skin ones to the top because that's what I typed. So maybe if we select that it's an arm and that the operation was biopsy. And then when we enter that, it's going to add our protocol, which here was 2 blocks each with 1 H&E. And entering the specimens like this is the last step of the core accessioning workflow. So we can go ahead and save our order, and then we'll get a label print window. Now, when labs are ordering the histology protocols at accessioning like this, they may want to pre-print cassettes or possibly even slides, which we can definitely accommodate. The system will be configured to print whichever default specimens is ideal for your workflow. We're getting specimen labels here, as well as lab order labels. In the LigoLab LIS, each specimen gets its own unique identifier assigned in the database, which we call the specimen ID. This is going to be the identifier embedded in the barcode that prints for that specimen. And then lab order labels are more commonly going to have our accession embedded, and these are intended to be attached to any paperwork that's received with the case. Normally we print selected, and then we'll go on to scan in that paperwork. For AP cases, we do recommend scanning the paperwork here after each case. I don't have a scanner, but I will go ahead and attach a PDF I have saved on my workstation to demonstrate what this will look like. And then we can close this window, and the order entry screen is cleared out to accession the next case. So after accessioning, the bottle may be given to the lab, where the first step is most likely going to be grossing. So we can go to the anatomic pathology lab, pretend we'll put on our grossing tech hat now, and their first queue will be the grossing queue. The grossing queue is the real-time list of all the cases that need to be grossed. Here, the user can browse through the queue and double-click on a case they're interested in, or scan the bottle label up here, and it will open the detail window for the result. But for grossing, we recommend using the screen we built called Touchscreen, which is optimized for use with a touchscreen monitor. Here we can scan our bottle, and the case that was just accessioned, all the information about it will populate into the window. Here we have our requisition showing up here on the side. Again, if the requisition is scanned at accessioning, as I demonstrated, then the grosser will easily be able to view this digitized requisition at this time of grossing. And with this workflow, the physical requisition doesn't need to travel with the specimen to the lab, where it can get damaged or even lost, because they'll be able to view this digitized version of that document. At the top, you'll always have your patient identifiers, and then here we have our site-specific information that our accessioner selected. This information can be tied to downstream logic. In this case, we see it brought in a default macro for this case type. It might have also applied our histology protocol at order entry as we saw, and they probably also ordered a CPT, which is the default CPT for our biopsy in 88305. So with our default grossing description applied, we see that there are some placeholder values, this triple question mark character that we use. So the grosser could just fill in these values, either with a real physical keyboard or this on-screen keyboard, whichever is easiest. The grosser could take images. Here we see a PIP next to patient history, indicating that there is patient history for this patient. We know that we linked to this patient at order entry. And here we see the previous case that they, the testing they got the previous time they came through the lab. Also, we have a PIP on order data panels, and we see that history of melanoma that was typed in. All these tabs have keyboard shortcuts. If I hold the Alt key, you might be able to see the little underlines under the letters. That's a shortcut to go to those tabs. These shortcuts can also be leveraged by dictation software to easily move around as needed. For example, we can go back to Specimens tab, again, see our cassettes and slides that were ordered, and the grosser can adjust those specimens as needed. We can order additional blocks, additional H&Es, unstained, or go to the stain table to order specials, IHC, anything else that they would like at this time. If the cassettes were not pre-printed, this would be the kind of more recommended time to print the cassettes. So when we're done with grossing, we can print the block and save the case. After grossing, then we can go on to block processing and embedding. From the block queue is a real-time list of all of the blocks that need to be processed and embedded. From this queue, we can filter by status. So these are all my unprocessed blocks. I can see my new ones are here at the bottom. Normally, I would recommend scanning the blocks. I'm just selecting their checkboxes for speed here on our demonstration today. So you can scan as many blocks into this window to indicate that they're being loaded into the processor as you would like. You can tell it which processor they are going into. And when we begin, it's going to record the timestamp in which we're performing this action. When the blocks are ready to come out of the processor, we can change our filter to what is processing. We can change it to the specific processor. This time, again, you could scan, but it might be easy to do, select everything that's coming out of this processor. We just double check our numbers to make sure they match. And then these are coming out of our processor. Lastly, we will mark embedding. So we add a different workstation, obviously, where you might just scan more one by one as the blocks are being embedded, as opposed to the batching step. Now, in general, tracking the block processing and embedding, as I've just shown, is optional. Some labs find this very useful. Some labs seem it to be kind of overkill, more than they need at the time. If you do choose to do these tracking steps, we are creating this audit of everything that has happened to the block, like a life cycle of the block with users, time date stamps, instruments, facilities, all that nice information. We do have out-of-box stats reports that, for example, calculate the processing turnaround time, which you can all take advantage of if you do this level of tracking, but also it is optional. You don't have to track any of the block processing steps for your lab if that is not of interest to you. After the block is embedded, it will officially come off the block queue, and then the histotext will pick up the case from the slide queue. We will print labels and tell the system who is going to be cutting these slides. So we'll open the assign window, we'd have print slide labels checked, and then scan a block, and the slides that need to be cut from this block, in this case just one H&E, will be loaded into the window. We can load our second block, and our second H&E will be added as well. We can see the labels up here. So normally this would print our slide labels as well. You could print a worksheet if the histotechs like to have a physical copy or a worksheet while they're working. And again, it's always going to record the user who's performing this step and when. Finally, someone will want to come back and tell the system when the slides are completed. This is sometimes done at the cover slipping step, or it could be done when the slides are being bundled to leave the department. Again, here I'm just selecting the slides from the queue for expediency, but the more recommended workflow would definitely be to scan the slides into this window. If your pathologists like to have a working draft, you can print a worksheet for this case as you're scanning slides into this window. You could also take this opportunity to assign a pathologist if you would like. Once we mark these slides as complete, they will drop off the slide queue, and then the case will be eligible, once all the slides are complete, to appear in the pathologist's default view of their queue. In the pathologist queue, again, the pathologist can browse through here and look at the case they want. Actually, maybe I'll just take a quick moment to explain some of the colors that we're seeing here in the queue. A color here in the accession column is a case priority indicator. So I know in this environment, that means purple means a case was marked as expedite. The other priority in this environment being stat, which might be red. So you customize those colors and priorities however you would like. And this is just a nice visual indicator in the queue to all users of the cases that have higher priority. Similarly, a color that we see here in the result ID column is a turnaround time indicator. Each lab can configure for themselves on a per test basis any number of time buckets for when the case and its records should change colors in the queues. For example, maybe after 8 hours, it'll turn yellow, after 12, orange, after 24, red, whatever you want those buckets and colors to be. And again, it's test specific, which is why we see it here for our surgicals. And then I have no color configured for the prostates. But the recommended workflow for the pathologist queue that I recommend is to scan a slide that the pathologist has brought, and it's going to open the case for them like this. The cursor will be right in final diagnosis for dictating, entering their macro, however they want to enter the final diagnosis. At the top, we can again see our patient demographics. We see our site, our grossing description, CPTs that have been added, any ICDs, the free text clinical history that appear or that was typed at accessioning in our report preview. Here we saw an alert tag that is telling us that this client wants microphotographs on their report. So if you are a pathologist that has a microscopic camera, we can integrate with that, and when the user clicks this button, or again use the keyboard shortcut Alt-Q, the system will send a message to the camera driver. It'll open the camera software like you normally use. You can take an image there, and then it'll bring it into the software. Here again, I just have some images saved here, so it'll come in kind of like this. You can add like a description, annotation, and it'll appear, the thumbnail will appear here, or we can go to the Images tab to have more control over managing all of our images. Now, in the final diagnosis, I'm going to go ahead and type my macro. We can see a final diagnosis has appeared. Our report preview refreshed. We see all these new elements in addition to the image that we added. This final diagnosis macro also happened to have a linked report comment, a linked microscope description macro. We can see an ICD was added. Yeah, so now our report is starting to look more complete. Let's say you wanted to see the patient history that we also saw at grossing, or that we enabled by linking the patient at order entry. This icon up here indicates that there is history present, the one on it. We can click on it and see the same window we did before. We can preview this report like so. This window can open automatically when the case opens, the same as our report preview did if desired. And the other window that might open if you're interested is the attachments, again, where the requisition primarily would be. Also, maybe if there was outside testing and you scan it in, those would also be visible there. And the pathologist could come over to the specimens tab and see all the specimens that were prepared for this case. Again, if they wanted to order additional stains, they click routine to add an H&E, no stain to add an unstained slide, or come to the stain table and add any other specials, IHC, etc., that are needed. When the pathologist has completed entering their final diagnosis, then they can go to release the case. Of course, we support preliminary releasing, and you can see from the hover text that these commands have easy keyboard shortcuts. Here I have enabled the pre-release checklist. This is an optional screen that can appear here and can be a good way to present some things that you would like double checked about the case before it's released, such as maybe ICDs, CPTs, etc. Again, it's optional. It can be turned off if that's not something that you're interested in. Once we click OK, the case will be officially completed and it will be queued up for release, which the reports that are queued up for release can be seen here in the pending release reports queue. Here's our test case. The reports will be held here for a holding period of time, which each lab controls in their global settings. For AP labs, a common holding time might be 30 to 60 minutes. This is kind of a fail-safe. If the pathologist signs out a case and then immediately remembers they forgot something, basically because the case is in this holding period, they can return it to processing and make changes, but no revision is needed because it wasn't officially released yet. But also, if that feature, it wouldn't be valuable for your lab, you can set the holding period to 0, in which case there will never really be any reports here unless they have an active hold on them. Once that holding period has completed, then the report will be officially released, in which case it'll be distributed to the client or provider, however you have configured in the application for the client provider. The common distribution options being fax, remote printing, in-house printing, EDI, of course, or an email to log in and view the report on our provider portal. And that is the end of the life cycle of this case for us today.
Okay, thank you very much. I think now we can open it up to a question and answer session. We do have a question that has been put forth. Approximately how many third world country clientele do you currently facilitate, and how would you describe their experience with your platform?
Yeah, I can take that one. I was already typing an answer. So I would say that definitely the majority of our labs are in US. We've got several labs serviced in Middle East and Australia. I'm not sure if it refers to third world country clientele, but we are looking to expand our services to other countries. As I mentioned, we are built for mid-size and large-size labs. So if we're talking about some smaller labs in third world countries, probably we could be on their more expensive side. So it depends on how you would love to approach your business, whether you're looking to scale and grow and become the bigger lab that needs a really profound, well-structured solution. We wouldn't be the cheapest on the market. So that's always the question, like that will definitely pop up. So anyways, we're looking to expand and grow. We would really like to know more about your lab and your needs. And for that purpose, I encourage you to have the discovery call with me or my colleagues and figure out what we have to offer. And so we can also learn more about your lab, and then we can understand whether we're a good fit for each other. Approximately, what is the pricing for your platform? Yes. Thank you for the question. So I think I can mention that for the I would love to know the size of your lab, right? So if we come back to one of my slides where we had the essential professional tiers, so we start with essential tier. The essential tier pricing would vary also, but it's approximately around $4,000 a month. So we would start our pricing around there. And again, like I will need to talk to you to understand like your needs in more detail, and we can definitely get into the weeds of what we can do for you, but just for you to get an idea.
I think you answered another question as well, one that was put forth about a recording of this webinar.
Yes,
we certainly will take care of that.
Answer. Yeah,
Okay.
we will take care of the recording, and we'll share that later in 1-2 days. Yeah.
Okay. I have a question or two for the group here. I think it was mentioned right at the end by Allison, the portal situation with this platform and how that relates to lab outreach. Allison, can you tell us just a little bit about what we offer and how it works?
Yeah, with the LIS, we have a client and physician web-based portal, which the primary features are ordering, so they can enter their order. Your clients can enter their orders from that web portal. The second feature there is reporting. They can view their reports there, download them, print them, search for them. They'll be there forever, right? They don't like expire or anything. You can view historical reports, as well as a light inventory feature, whereby your clients can request supplies from the lab, maybe biohazard bags, requisitions, tubes, anything that you are supplying for them. And you wouldn't have to use all three of those features. You know, if you don't want them entering orders, you can hide that part and just have them viewing reports, or maybe vice versa. And you would have full control. There's no limit on the number of users that you can have on there. And you would set those up and control what all clients and providers each user has access to.
Thank you for that. Maybe this one for Olga. RCM was mentioned briefly. RCM integration with this platform, kind of an overview of how that works. I think you mentioned one source of truth, which I think will catch a lot of people's attention. Just like a high-level understanding of what that means from this platform's point of view.
Yeah, so we do offer a solution that has both parts, right? LIS and RCM. It's all one platform. It's not two different softwares. It's all one software. And because of them being basically essentially one software, so all the information that comes from LIS to RCM is right there. So RCM quickly picks up on all the data, and that's how you can fight all the industry challenges, basically, right? So we know about the shrinking reimbursements and high denial rates and high costs of labor in the billing field. So having your own RCM and managing it inside of your team, of your lab, gives you all the benefits of overcoming those challenges, and you get really transparent visibility on all the data. You get all the updates, and on time. You have all your patient data in one place. You're not losing this data, and whatever regulations are shifting and changing, you will also get all the updates inside the system, and that's how you prevent basically your revenue leakage. So you are able to grow your revenue through doing all of that, and as I said, like on our bigger clients, we see essential growth of their revenue in several months after they start using the both systems together.
Here's one more for Allison. You worked in a laboratory previously, so you probably have experience with other systems beyond LigoLab. Can you talk a little bit about what the differentiators might be with this system compared to others?
LigoLab to be a lot better. I know I'm a little bit biased, but the performance was better, and not just like the working performance, but the reliability. Other LISs I worked with would like sometimes crash or like go down, which we never had a problem with Ligo doing that. I mean, unless there was like a lab-wide like internet outage or something like that, of course. Um, it yeah, it was easier to work with, had like better work lists. Site security was one advantage. The other LIS we worked with didn't have any kind of, right, like if you were a multi-facility lab, the cases at lab A would, there'd be no difference between the cases at lab B. And so it'd be confusing to the lab techs, like which cases are here in my lab. But LigoLab has a nice solution for that.
Okay, and then one more for Olga. You're involved in a lot of software demonstrations. People interested in acquiring a new LIS system or launching a pathology lab, they inevitably are going to check in with you and your team. Just kind of give us a sense of what you often hear when you talk to these people on those initial conversations, and what solutions are potentially there for them.
Yeah, so probably I can even show one slide that will show the process that we have that will make it easier. So whoever is going to get a new system, yeah, we'll definitely meet the sales team first, me and my colleagues, and we will have a discovery call, essentially something that we need to understand your needs, your size, like the volumes, the specialties you're doing, right? So that we can understand what kind of solution we can develop for you. Once we understand that we're a good fit for each other, then we'll jump into the demo. Whatever Allison demonstrated today, we'll dive deeper in all the modules and to understand what like each of these things I shared before means. And we will do as many demos as you need, again, depending on the size of the company, the number of teams that you have. After that, if you like everything and are ready to move forward, we will prepare the proposal and we'll discuss the pricing, and that might also take a lot of time, depending again on the size of your lab and how fast you want to move forward. As I said, the decision making in choosing a new LIS or RCM is pretty lengthy. Might be pretty lengthy. Not always the case. I've seen the cases when we close the deal like in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, but most of the labs, of course, need time to think, and even discussing tiny little details in the contract might take weeks sometimes. So again, depends on how fast you want to move forward. After that, once we sign the contract and we're all good on the sales side, we have the implementation period, and implementation can take anywhere from 3 to 9 months. Again, depending on the size of the lab, on how many integrations you need to build, because that's the most the lengthiest process in all of that, right? So like when we build integrations, everything depends on how quickly your team can respond and help us do it together. But for the essential tier, the minimum tier that we have, I would say the implementation usually will last up to 3 months. And again, for this enterprise, for example, it might be anywhere from 6 to 9 months, depending on the number of interfaces that you need. And then we go live and everybody is happy. Of course, training and service come after that. That's we're always there for you. And that's probably something to underline, that we're always working in a partnership mode. We don't just give you the system and leave you. We're always there. Our service is really superb, and critical issues are solved within hours, and we're always there to solve any problems you have. Speaking of the solutions, Michael, coming back to the other question. So we do, I did talk about LIS and RCM. And on top of that, we also have a test directly solution, which is a direct to consumer module. I would even not call it a module. It's basically a separate platform that really can integrate with our LIS as well, if that is needed, or it can be used as a standalone product to solve any direct to consumer workflows that you have. Let's say you have the testing in the kits that you're sending to your clients. We have a solution for that too. Probably it's hidden in here in my presentation, but just to get you a gist of what it does, here are the workflows that we can cover. We can do the coverage for the in-person appointments or the third-party testing and home kits distribution, things like that. So if that's something of interest, and we see more and more interest actually in that because different types of testing become available on the market for the consumers, we can provide you the solution for this type of business as well. So if there is any interest in that, I'm here to answer any more questions. The process will be essentially the same. We'll meet you for the discovery, finding out what you really need and how we can help, and then dive into the demonstration.
And Test Directly was quite useful and very successful for many labs during the COVID pandemic. So it was basically developed as that pandemic started. Of course, now it's available and can be utilized for any form of direct-to-consumer diagnostic testing. So in fact, we have webinars about that in our webinar archive. The other thing I wanted to mention is the tiers. The pricing tiers that Olga showed. If you're looking for more information, there is a section on our website, LigoLab.com, where you will find more information. So it's not a quick slide, but you can really dive in if you want to. Last thing I want to say, we do a lot of these webinars. We utilize Allison and her talents quite a bit. So look forward to more from her in the near future, as well as other topics. And of course, we're always interested to hear what you might want to see. So please, I'm going to leave you this contact information, take it down. You can follow up with Allison directly if you have any specific comments or questions about what she showed today, or if you have any insight into what you'd like to see in the future, please take advantage of this opportunity. With that, Allison, Olga, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. We also thank the attendees for tuning in and asking the questions, and we'll talk soon. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.